the reason why we have so many dictators in Africa is mainly because we are always gravitating towards what is in us.
The beginning was the naivety to think that the oppressor can give you the means to defeat him.
Thank you so much for joining me on this podcast as we are going to be looking at issues that are happening around Africa. And today, this is a different kind of podcast because we are looking at Africa and colonialism. I want to say thank you to everyone that watched the video and that shared the video that I posted 9 days ago. And as you can see, it's now on 240,000 views. And also we have surpassed the 20,000 mark. This is amazing and it's a great milestone. So today I want us to look at what Julius Malema said and what this man said. We just want to delve again into this issue because I've seen a lot of your comments about and also the issue of neocolonialism and socialism, among other things. First of all, I want us to say that Julius Malema is right, and all of you are saying that Julius Malema is right. But also there is the other part that we need to look at, which is our model of governance in Africa. Our model of governance in Africa has always come from somewhere else. We have not used our own ingrown model of governance or our forms, our arms of government. To those that are followers of this channel, in 2020, I had the professor in the University of Texas, Dr. Msafari Mpanduki, when he was talking about why Africa has not adopted the models that are African in order to make governance. Why do I say that? Let's talk of communism. Let's talk of socialism. Let's talk of capitalism. All these forms of governance, they are foreign. They are not what we were used to do. We were used to a monarchy kind of leadership where we had monarchs from different, we had the Zulu kingdom, we had the Shona kingdom, the Mutapa kingdom. We had all these kingdoms that were around Africa. And in all these kingdoms, they had monarchs, they had kings. Kings would get conquest and then they conquer other kings, but they had kings who were under them, like King Mzilikazi, and then King Lobengula, and King Chikura Jigambeu, or popular known as the king of the Roji, and the Chirisa Muru was the last king of the Shona tribe. But what we find is we have not gone back to that kind of kingdoms and formulate our own form of governance in order to sell it out there to the world. We've been given a system that is very, very hard because inherently we had kings. So the reason why we have so many dictators in Africa is mainly because we are always gravitating towards what is in us. So what happens is that having that, we might embrace socialism and the likes of Leninism, Marxism, and all these principles. They might work wonders for South Africa. They might work wonders for different parts of the continent. But the question is, why are we not making our homegrown types of governance that works for us? I want us to watch this video of Mbuyiseni Ndlozi when he was saying something at a BBC council. And I'm going to make a comment about what he said.
The tragedy from the very beginning was the naivety to think that the oppressor can give you the means to defeat him. BEE is based on that tragic logic. If you look at the sector targets, are themselves very much embarrassing. Nothing in terms already from the beginning we are moving from a defeated perspective. And capitalism in its nature is the cold, ruthless march of profit for profit's sake. How could you depend on people whose intention, whose entire project in life is the pursuit of money for money's sake to transform anything? So it was naive in our view from the beginning to think you could ask South Africa's white capitalist owners to include, number one, black people, number two, to transform the economy against their own domination. We've got to look elsewhere. So,
right. From Mbuyiseni Ndlozi's view, it is very, very clear that it would be very naive for us to think that these people that we are calling the third force, or the people that are doing neocolonialism, they would give us a system that would defeat them. It is very naive for us to think that we are going to have a democracy that will allow us to defeat the US. We have a democracy that will allow us to defeat France. There is no way, because their democracy works in their country, but when they go outside, their foreign policy is totally different. But we have been conformed to a system or to a democracy that conforms to the systems that are not ours. Even our foreign policy is supposed to fall under the foreign policy of the US. We might say, we differ with the US, but at the end of the day, go all across Africa, their foreign policies and their foreign ministers, they are always judged by what the foreign minister of the US, the foreign minister of UK is saying. They always follow that model. They might twitch it a little bit, but we are in the same system. So Africa needs to wake up to this reality that unless Africa wakes up and defeat colonialism and not whine about slave trade, what happened in colonialism and all of that, because even if we are going to shout on top of our voices and claim democracy in Africa, there is no way that Africa is going to defeat Europe and the West in terms of the systems that they have put in place. Why do I say that? Because Africa is not conforming to what Africa has. I'll give two examples. The example is if you look at Asia and look at the model that they put in China, this is a homegrown system that China has adopted. And if you come to the system that the people in the Middle East have adopted, it's a homegrown, it's an Islamic system that comes from Islamic values, and they've built their nation based on that. We have not built our countries based on our cultures or our background. We have not done that. We have built our nations based on a system that was imported from somewhere. So if we are going to fight colonialism or neocolonialism, our systems has to be like what China has done. They have worked extra hard, and in their working extra hard, now they are a headache to the like of the US because they are using their own system. US might say, yeah, they are communist, but they will not be forced to change their communism because it is their homegrown communism. It is something that is going to work for them, that has been working for them. Ours in Africa has not worked because we imported it from somewhere, and they are also failing it. So we're guinea pigs that were just given a system that we are going to try out, but in the end, it's not going to benefit all of us. So What is my point? My point is, if we are going to fight colonialism, we must understand that we have to work extra hard. I want us to watch this snippet of a video of a lady that was explaining that us complaining about colonialism and what it has done and expecting reparations from what colonialism has done, it's a pie in the sky and we're not going to win this war.
And you saw the magic of Singapore. Today, Singapore is richer than its ex-colonizer, Great Britain. So when I hear people telling me today, oh, Africa is poor because of colonization, I'm like, please, let's move on from that. Does it have maybe a tiny percentage in where we are today? Maybe, and I don't know. But I know it's not the cause. Because if it were, many countless countries have been colonized before. And by the way, colonizing one another is humanity's history. It just happened that maybe Africa has been one of the last, colonized region in the world. So in our psyche, it is there and it acts like nothing happened before to others. But flash news, it's the history of the world. We've been capturing each other back and forth, all of that. So
colonialism has been happening for centuries in different places. You recall that Egypt was a fortress for the world. If you check in your history books, you find that Babylon was also the biggest kingdom in the world. If you check in your Bible, you find that there was a time when King Ahasuerus had the biggest kingdom that was stretching from Ethiopia to India. The time of Jesus Christ, when he was on earth, he was under the Roman kingdom. There were Caesars they had colonized the kingdom of Israel. So what is happening is that colonialism is not going to stop unless Africa rises up and fortifies herself to such an extent that they can even colonize. For example, they can colonize another nation, maybe like Russia, or maybe China, or maybe Spain, or some parts of Europe, until they rise to that strength. All this talk that we might have of saying we want racism to end, we want all these things to end, they will not come to an end until Africa rises up and stands up for herself. There is no rest for the black man. So, in closing, this is what I want us to look at and say. As the nation Africa, I agree with Julius Malema saying we should be a one continent in one country. We have been divided by borders. But what I would want to see is not just only it's not just only socialism being implemented in South Africa, but what I want to see is a system, or us Africans, to work hard, extra hard, to fortify ourselves, strengthen our countries, and make sure that we can be able to say, America, take away your bases in Botswana. America, take away, we don't want this from you, we don't want that from you. We can, if you don't do that, we are going to attack you. Because we have fortified ourselves, because that freedom is not going to come on a silver platter. There is no way the colonizer is going to let go of his grip of capitalism in Africa, of exploiting Africa. There is no way. We have to find that strength. So I agree with Malema with all his ideologies, but I also think that it's high time Africans and young Africans like me start to think about ways of fortifying ourselves and becoming a superpower, a supergiant that can be able to compete on the world stage using our own ingrown systems that are inherent in us. But anyway, I would like to hear from you and what do you think about this podcast. And I would also want you to support this channel. There is a link in the description where you can support through PayPal. You can get in touch with me if you want to support through World Remit. You can send money for us to broadcast better quality. Right now, I'm recording this podcast using my phone, would need a camera, would need other things. But would love to have a support from you if you believe in this channel and you believe in what we're doing. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, please share, and let's grow this channel together. Hopefully I'll see you on the next video saying to you, rise Africa, the world is waiting for you. Thank you so much for watching.